King David lived 3,400 years ago, but his spirit still pulsates today among the mountains of Judea. In this package dedicated to King David, we set off on a journey following his spirit with our educational director, Dr. Moshe Weinstock. With us will also be the painter Haolam Lipman, who resides in an extension of the Bat Ayin settlement known as David's Territories. At the end of our intensive journey of study, Haolam hunkered down in his studio and began to create. The works here were hand-painted especially for you by Haolam. His paintings reflect the character of King David, both as Israel's savior in the great battle against the Philistine Goliath, and as a figure that emerges out of the eye of reality to save Israel's future, as he wrote in the Psalms and as described in the books of the prophets. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. The preparations of the heart belong to man, but the answers from the Lord. Open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. In the first image, I felt it very powerful to see the might standing before small David, who emerges victorious. What is the story you're telling here? What happened to this child? What made him get from this point to the spotlight? First of all, he was drawn in. He had already experienced some type of divine revelation. He can't stand these taunts from Goliath and the fact that the whole nation is standing by and no one fights him. So he says, I'll go out to fight. Faith burns within him like a brilliant flame which nothing can subdue. No person, no one. There is a shepherd here. A shepherd. Very simple. A shepherd is a big thing for the people of Israel. What are the characteristics of a shepherd? He knows how to take care of the flock and protect it from the wolves. He lets them graze in the meadow peacefully and watches over them. This is something I said in a film once. You take a frame, you take a canvas, and the canvas is nothing. It's a smooth, clean, and white surface, and you pour into it depth as much as you can. You create a world within that canvas. My painting teacher, Leonid, used to say that it's a partnership with the Holy One. Art is a partnership with the Holy One. King David defeating Goliath was a partnership with the Holy One as well. But couldn't the Holy One defeat Goliath without David? Of course he could. But he wants David in order to establish his kingdom. The second picture, which is a deep one, it took me a while to take in, and I'd like you to describe the process you went through. How did you make it? How did you arrive at this profound and beautiful thing? The figure of David, his face, I got right away. I felt I had a sort of mold for it, and I really wasn't sure where I should place him. But he's King David. Then suddenly that eye appeared, and I understood that he was inside the eye. I'll tell you something personal. When I became religious, I would go to synagogue, and I used to find it difficult every time everyone raised their finger and said, now this is the law, the Torah, which Moses set before the children of Israel, and there's this motion with your pinky. And when I was first becoming religious, it was very difficult for me. The whole ritual seemed a bit strange to me, everyone raising their hands. Am I supposed to raise my hands along with everyone? What is this? But there was this one time, after a few Shabbatot, when I went to the synagogue, everyone raised their hands, and I also raised my hand and said, this is the Torah. And at that moment, I felt I was in. Now, it's written that a king always needs to have a Torah scroll on his arm, right? Kings always used to carry a Torah scroll. So in the painting, I suddenly saw that the Torah scroll is actually there. I can't say that I painted it because I actually saw it, that the Torah scroll was there. And David's hand is outstretched, and it's saying, this is the Torah. And this connection with the moon reflected in the eye, which is also, David was said to be like the moon, which has no light of its own, but rather its light is from God. Suddenly, everything came together in a concept that felt perfect to me.